I tell you, it's a true privilege and honor to be here today, especially on behalf of Mr. Joe Sanderson. During the time that I really got a reflection of his life was when I was a state senator. I was chairman of agriculture, and we had a lady to visit us named Katrina. When Hurricane Katrina came about, that was a huge issue for Mississippi because we are such a poultry state, and it could not have taken a more direct path than right through the areas of this state where we have all the poultry houses. That's when I saw the man that Joe Sanderson is. The things that he did as a true humanitarian, things that he didn't have to do, the things that he went above and beyond to try to get our state through that period, but most of all to get those farmers through that period had just lost their livelihoods. So, Mr. Sanderson, I will never forget those days, and it truly is an honor to be able to introduce you today. I tell you, I'm still in awe at Miss Mississippi. What about another hand for Miss Mississippi? Wow. In Lincoln County, we would say she knocked it out of the park. That was awesome. That was just a great performance. That was worth coming today, if nothing else. But Joe F. Sanderson, Jr. is chairman of the board of directors and chief executive officer in Sanderson Farms Incorporated, headquartered in Laurel, Mississippi, a Jones County fellow. Mr. Sanderson is a graduate of Laurel High School and Millsaps College. Upon graduation from college, he returned to Laurel in 1969 and joined the family-owned business where he served in various capacities. Sanderson Farms is now a publicly held company engaged in the production, processing, and making of poultry. It is the third largest poultry company in the United States, with approximately 11,405 employees in operations in Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Georgia, and North Carolina. Revenues exceeded $2.5 billion in fiscal 2012. Mr. Sanderson is actively involved in several industry and business associations and is currently serving as a director of Mississippi Poultry Association, Mississippi Manufacturers Association, and the National Chicken Council. He is past chairman of those organizations as well, and a former director and chairman of BIPAC, which all the legislators in here really know well as the Business and Industry Political Education Committee. He's former director of the Mississippi Economic Council and the U.S. Poultry and Egg Association. In 2002, Mr. Sanderson was inducted into the Mississippi Poultry Hall of Fame and is the first second-generation recipient of this honor. In February of 2006, Mr. Sanderson was selected as laureate of Mississippi Business Hall of Fame. Mr. Sanderson is active in community and civic organizations and is the former director of the Eudora Welty Foundation and was vice chairman of the Governor's Commission on Recovery, Rebuilding, and Renewal of Mississippi Gulf Coast. Additionally, he has served as a director of the Pine Bur Council of the Boy Scouts of America, Salvation Army, United Way, and the Laurel Chapter Chamber of Commerce, and a trustee for the Mississippi Chapter of the Nature Conservancy. He's also served as a trustee for Millsaps College and the Laurel School District, a director of Alcorn State University Foundation, and as a past president and director of the Association for Excellence in Education. Mr. Sanderson and his wife, Kathy, have 3 daughters and 6 grandchildren, and it is truly my honor to present to you Mr. Joe Sanderson.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Generous, kind remarks. I am honored to be here today. It's a pleasure to come here mainly to thank you for your generous and kind support and warm welcome that you made to Sanderson Farms when we took on the Sanderson Farms Championship. We didn't know what we were doing, had no idea, and had 4 months to do it in. But the people of Madison County welcomed us with open arms and helped us and shepherded us along, and Johnny Lang helped, and We did the best we could in a short period of time, and we got through it. And I also want to thank whoever picked out this menu today. It was splendid. Good taste. Well done. Thank you very much. Before I speak today, I want to show you a little video that'll give you a little background about Sanderson Farms. I don't know who's in charge of punching the button, but it is time to punch the button now. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the company, but I can't tell you everything. And I have a script, so I don't, the lawyers tell me I have to use a script so I don't breach Rule FD. So, but I'm going to digress sometimes, and y'all forgive me if I do that. One other thing I want to thank some people. I see some people in this audience that were our sponsors in the tournament this year. And I want to thank them too. They stepped up big time and helped financially in our first goal at the Sanderson Farms Championship. And I thank you all too. Thank you very much for helping us. It was, we didn't know what we were doing. We worked really hard, and we felt good enough about it that we felt like it was a very good success, and we re-upped for 3 more years. And I'll talk about the golf in a little bit, but let me talk to you a little bit more about Sanderson Farms. The story of our company since we went public has been about growth. Until 1991, Sanderson Farms really began in the chicken business in 1961. They bought the plant in Hazelhurst. In 65, we built the plant in Laurel. 74, we bought the plant in Hammond. 81, we bought a plant in Collins. And then we went public in 87. And we didn't really grow again until about the early 90s. And we were public. And we had a lot of cash on the balance sheet, but we hadn't grown any. And I became president in 89, and I was given a really solid financial company, a lot of good people, and I knew we couldn't sit there. And so we went off to Longleaf Plantation, my team did, and we developed a growth plan. And we ended up double shifting all of our plants and decided to build a new plant in Macomb, Mississippi, and we did that in 1993. And since then, we've kept on building. And when our balance sheet said we could. We just broke ground on another plant in Palestine, Texas, this 2 weeks ago. Or actually broke ground on the hatchery and awarded the contract on a new plant, which will be our 6th plant since 1993. And that plant will begin operations in January of 2015. As I noted in the video, since Sanderson Farms became a public company, we have felt that it is imperative that we continue to grow. Shareholders who invest in our company today expect their stock to be worth more at some time in the future. This past spring, somebody bought our stock at $75 a share. Oh, yeah. Yep. So those people that bought that stock at $75 a share expect to be able to make money on that stock. So that means we've got to build another chicken plant and maybe 2 more chicken plants. And we've got to go through another good cycle somewhere down the line to make that stock worth $85 or $90 a share. That's what it means. It's our job to generate a reasonable return for their risk and for their investment. There are essentially two ways we can make their investment worth more. We can operate more efficiently and generate more income and higher earnings per share using the assets that we have. And we already do that pretty well, but we always believe we can do better. Every year we sit down and look. We belong to a group, a benchmarking service called AgriStats, and every year we look and compare ourselves anonymously to 22 other companies, 1,000 different benchmarks, and every year we find some places where we can do better, but we already do pretty well. But we look at that and we see where we can do better, and we set those objectives and try to get those. The other way we can do better, and the biggest way we can do better, is to produce more pounds. And to do that, you build more plants. Squeezing everything we can out of the assets at our disposal is nothing new to the company. We are often asked by shareholders and equity analysts what it is that we do to make us a low-cost producer in our industry. And I have to tell them it is a culture and a practice that was handed down from our predecessors. I'm going to tell you a story now that was told to me by somebody some of you may know. My grandfather was born in 1898, and he grew up and reared his family during the Depression. There was a picture of him in front of a grocery store in Hazelhurst, Mississippi. There were 4 people. I told you about it. And he had a grocery store and a packing shed in Hazelhurst, Mississippi. And my father and my uncle worked in the packing shed, and there was an African-American gentleman that was a peer of my father and my uncle, same age, named Walter Washington. I don't know if any of y'all know him, but Walter Washington grew up with my dad and my uncle, and he worked in the packing shed with them, and one day my grandfather needed something from Brookhaven. So he left Hazelhurst in a pickup truck going to Brookhaven. Dr. Washington told me this. And Mr. Bob is what his name was and what people called him, my grandfather. And he would get to the top of a hill and cut the engine off and coast to the bottom of the hill and then crank the truck back up, go up the hill and get to the top of the hill and go down, cut the engine off and go down. And Walter asked him and said, "Mr. Bob, why are you doing that?" He said, "Walter, I'm trying to save money. When you run a business, you got to cut costs." Walter Washington went on to college, and my grandfather helped him. He became president of Utica Junior College and president of Alcorn State College. And the story he was telling about was he remembered that, and he ran Alcorn like that. He tried, the phrase he used, he said, "Cut the lights out every night, save the money." One of my grandfather's favorite times was summertime. Got more daylight. You could work longer. He could work longer, and he expected everybody else to work longer as well. I mentioned the balance sheet earlier because it is the most important asset we have at our disposal. We recognize that we are scratching out a living in agriculture in a cyclical industry that does from time to time experience down cycles. One interesting thing about our industry is that the down cycles are really no longer predictable. They used to be. In the 60s and 70s and 80s, kind of knew it was coming. And about when. Today, that's not so anymore. The industry would make a lot of money expand production, and produce too much chicken, which would cause a challenging cycle. After losing a little money, the industry would stop its growth and wait for demand to catch up. They were building fast food stores and then casual dining, and demand was growing 4 to 5%. Well, sometime in the 1990s, they put the last casual dining restaurant on the last corner, and that was it. And the only thing that's kept growing since then has been the export market. And domestic demand is growing about 1 to 2% a year before this 2008 recession hit. So beginning in the late 90s and 2000, our cycles began to become event-driven. That is, regardless of production in the industry, external events have occurred, causing the industry to experience several down cycles. In 1998, the industry was selling a significant amount of product to former Soviet Union countries. They went through some difficult times and devalued the ruble, which made purchasing United States chicken difficult. All the chicken that was being sold to Russia came back on the domestic market. 50% of our exports were going to Russia at the time. All that chicken backed up into the United States. And that wasn't really a cycle, that was a crash. In 2002, George Bush put a tariff on steel coming from Russia into the United States. You know what Russia did? Russia banned chicken going into Russia. All that chicken backed up into the United States. 2003. I went to Washington to see if I could get something done about it. Couldn't get anything done about it. Had a crash. Down cycle. In 2006, you could not open a newspaper or turn on a computer without reading headlines about avian influenza across the globe. Started out in China, and then it got into the Middle East and parts of Europe. Nobody over there would eat chicken. Anywhere, we didn't have it in the Western Hemisphere, but nobody else in the world would touch chicken. All that chicken backed up in the United States. 2006, another down cycle. In 2008, economic downturn in the United States, ethanol, drought, corn goes up, chicken goes down, down cycle. 2011, drought, high corn cost. Chicken people have made a lot of money in 2010. Industry expands, bad business. My point is, you have to maintain a strong balance sheet. In 2011, there were 4 bankruptcies in the chicken industry, and there had only been 1 or 2 in 40 years. You have to maintain a good balance sheet. The good news is that we operate in an industry that can respond fairly quickly to difficult circumstances. The down cycle of 2011 triggered a significant and quick reduction in production in the industry, which in turn triggered relatively high prices for chicken in 2012. Very nice. These high prices have allowed the company over the past 2 years to return to profitability. 2012 was moderate. I remember what I said on the conference call, but it was almost a waste of time, but it was green, but it was kind of dull. This year, though, has been especially good. Our first 3 quarters, we're on target to earn relatively good margins, which we will report on December 17th. I described these cycles to get back to the importance of our balance sheet. While it is imperative that we continue to grow the company, we do so only when our balance sheet can withstand one of these unexpected cycles. You never know when it's coming, and you don't know where it's coming from. Ethanol, drought, avian influenza, or Russian embargo. Who can predict that? Only one man knows that. We know it is vitally important in a cyclical business to maintain a balance sheet that can withstand the unexpected. Perhaps it is in part due to our Mississippi roots, but we view our balance sheet through a very conservative lens, and we will do nothing to jeopardize our most valuable asset. That said, the plant in Palestine, Texas will not be our last plant. It is no secret in our industry that we are especially interested in continuing our growth in North Carolina. We built a plant in Kinston, North Carolina in 2011, and we built a feed mill there large enough to support 2 plants. We are doing our homework now on additional sites in North Carolina. I can tell you all that because we've already said that publicly. And hope to continue our expansion in that state at some point in the future. Now y'all want to talk a little golf? I've told him all my secrets now about chickens. Well, I didn't tell you all of them, but more than most people know. With your help, the inaugural Sanderson Farms Championship raised a significant amount of money for charities across the state. It is because of that success that we decided to extend our sponsorship for 3 more years. And with more of your help, we believe we can make the event bigger, better, and even more profitable for the charities it benefits. We grow Sanderson Farms not because we want to be bigger, but because we want to make more money. We want to grow this tournament not because we want to be bigger, but because we want to raise more money for the charities it benefits. Just as important to this group, we believe the event can increase its economic impact on the state of Mississippi and Madison County. More money. The primary change we're making this year, and I'm sure you're all aware of this, is that we will move the event from July to October. That's nice, I think. October the 30th through November the 2nd. That puts the tournament at the beginning of the 2014-15 PGA Tour schedule. And it will no longer be opposite the British Open. Both more pleasant weather and the fact that it will not rival the British Open should attract more players. In addition, the purse will increase from $3 to $4 million, which should also lure more players. Now, I know the new fall date is not perfect. We will compete on Friday night with Madison Central, Canton, and Madison Regional Academy. On Saturday, Ole Miss is playing at home against Auburn, and Mississippi State is at home against Arkansas. On Sunday, the NFL will be in full force, but we intend to make the golf tournament football friendly. And that's because we're going to serve chicken wings and lots of beverages. And football will be on big screens. One of the most important changes being made to the tournament, in my opinion, is that the Century Club Charities has committed to hiring a full-time tournament staff, the members of which will all devote 100% of their time to the tournament. This will allow the tournament to better serve its sponsors the players, the media, the volunteers, and just as importantly, Madison County and the city of Madison. After Century Club Charities voted unanimously to hire full-time staff, the group elected a search committee and immediately began looking for a tournament director. This individual had to meet several important criteria, from golf arena experience to almost innate sense of hospitality that matches that of Mississippi and Madison County, Sanderson Farms, and now the tournament. As well, this person is to be the patriarch of the staff. And most importantly, they must share our goals of raising funds for Blair Batson Hospital for Children and improving the economic impact of the tournament on the state of Mississippi. I am proud to report that the committee hit a home run, or in golf, a hole-in-one, with their selection and hiring of the new tournament director, who you will meet shortly. While we believe these changes will contribute to the success of the tournament, our vision is to also expand the tournament from a Madison County and Metro Jackson event to a true statewide event. Since the primary beneficiary of the tournament is a state hospital, the tournament should also likewise be a Mississippi event. Before I turn the podium over to the new Sanderson Farms Championship Tournament Director, Steve Gent, let's watch a quick video of the most recent tournament. Thank you all for the invitation to join you today, and thank you for your past support for the tournament. Your hospitality has been tremendous, Jan. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I'd like now to introduce you to our new tournament director, and please join me in extending a warm welcome to Steve Gent.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe. When I was told earlier that I was going to follow Joe, I thought this is probably what Drew Brees' replacement is going to feel like in a few years. But thank you, everybody. The home run is actually on mine. I feel like I hit the home run. I hit the hole in one. I just can't tell you how thankful and excited I am to be here. There are only 45 events on the PGA Tour, and I would tell you that I hate to say this to the other 44, but we've got the best title sponsor on the PGA Tour. There's no doubt in my mind that that's true. And as much as we'd like to think that golf is an individual sport, you see one guy on the green on 18 on Sunday with that big cardboard check. Putting on a golf tournament is really a team sport. And I'm so fortunate that I feel like we've got the best team on the PGA Tour. It is, I think, the best title sponsor on the tour. It's a phenomenal golf course in Annandale. The players talk about the greens on that course all year long. We're going to have an amazing date in the fall. The weather's going to be incredible. It's just going to be so special. I couldn't tell you how more thrilled I am with the people I've met with Century Club Charities. All the guys and everyone in that group has been so welcoming to me. It's an amazing host organization that I know is primed to do amazing things for this tournament. And you need a great community. And, everything I've seen and everybody I've met from Madison and this county, I can tell you that this is going to be the best community on the PGA Tour. And then I couldn't be more thrilled as a father of three for our main charity to be Friends of Children's Hospital and the Blair Batson Hospital for Children. Is just an amazing accomplishment and a great goal and focus for the tournament. So there's one last group I want on the team, and that's everyone in this room. And whether you're going to be a sponsor or a volunteer or a spectator out there that comes and sees the tournament, I'd like to have all of you on the team as well. So looking forward to seeing you all throughout the year and in October, November. It's going to be a fun ride. And I hate to tell the other 44 tournaments of this, but this will be the best tournament on the PGA Tour. So, and I'd like to also bring up Johnny Lang with Century Club Charities, and I think Johnny would like to say a few words as well. So thank you very much. I look forward to meeting everybody.
Yeah. I begged Joe back in January and February to do this, and the hardest part, to be brutally honest, it's been in his heart all along, but he didn't want to get out in front of everybody. And I kept telling him, somebody's got to lead this parade. There's a bunch of folks that like to follow, but we got to have somebody lead the band. And Joe and Kathy, y'all are awesome. I have the joy of being the president this year and next of Century Club Charities, and we are 200 members strong, businessmen and women. I think 33 of them are here in this room today. Bank Plus has been a tremendous supporter of Century Club forever. Many of you are members of Century Club. The beautiful part about our charter, quite frankly, is to promote golf for the benefit of charity. Golf is the language of business. We know all about business development, and obviously this year was a wonderful year. We raised $300,000 for Friends of Children's Hospital and another $89,000 for other statewide charities. And I can tell you that is just the beginning. Joe Sanderson wants to raise $1 million a year. As Lampkin and Mike and Hillary and everybody associated with Sanderson Farms know, whatever Joe wants, Joe's going to get. So expect a call from Steve Gent and or somebody else from Century Club Charities. We look forward to your support, and thank you for the event, Jan.